When I first started scrolling through soundbars, I kept hitting the same frustration. The pictures make them look like a miracle upgrade, but when they finally sit on the wall the dialogue sounds muffled, the bass feels thin, and the surround effect is more hype than reality. I've been there, watching a movie with friends only to have everyone constantly ask, "Did you hear that line?" Or "Why does the explosion feel like it's coming from the TV, not the room?" That's why I dug into the Yamaha TrueX Bar 90A before hitting record. I wanted to see if it actually solves those everyday annoyances or just adds another pretty box to the living room. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the TrueX Bar is a 3.1.2 channel system. That means you get 3 front speakers, a dedicated wireless subwoofer, and 2 upward-firing height drivers that aim to create Dolby Atmos height effects without ceiling speakers. For most people, the biggest question is whether those height drivers actually make a difference in a typical living room setup. I tested it in a 12-foot by 15-foot space with a 55-inch 4K TV, the sort of room where you might already have a decent bookshelf speaker pair but need something that blends into a wall. After the initial calibration, the height channels gave a noticeable sense of elevation during rain scenes or when a helicopter flew overhead in an action film. It wasn't the full-blown dome you'd get from a dedicated Atmos speaker array, but it added enough vertical texture to make those moments feel less flat. Dialogue clarity is where most soundbars stumble, especially when the TV's built-in speakers dominate the mid-range. The Yamaha's voice optimizer mode, which boosts the frequencies where human speech lives, actually helped cut through the background noise. I tried watching a fast-paced sitcom with overlapping jokes and the bar kept the punchlines clear without making the music sound tinny. In a real-world scenario, like a family game night where someone's commentary competes with the game's soundtrack, the bar kept the voices intelligible, which is a big win for anyone who hates squinting at subtitles. Bass is a common weak spot for slim soundbars, but the TrueX comes with a wireless subwoofer that uses Yamaha's symmetrical flare port design. In practice, the sub delivered a solid thump that you could feel during a car chase, yet it stayed controlled enough not to rattle the windows. If you live in an apartment building with thin walls, you'll appreciate that the bass doesn't turn into a constant low-frequency rumble. However, if you're looking for the kind of subwoofer performance that can shake a home theater room, you'll notice that the impact fades quickly once the movie's soundtrack drops back to dialogue. Connectivity is where the bar shines for the streaming-first crowd. It has built-in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AirPlay 2, and Yamaha's MusicCast ecosystem, so you can pull music from a phone, tablet, or even a smart TV without needing a separate receiver. I set up a Spotify playlist and a YouTube video back-to-back and the transition was seamless, no lag, no repairing. For people who treat their TV as a hub for both movies and music, that all-in-one approach simplifies the setup dramatically. The downside? The remote can feel a little sticky when you're trying to toggle between TV audio and Bluetooth, and there's no dedicated music button, so you have to dive into the on-screen menu more often than you'd like. One of the most attractive promises is that the system is expandable with optional wireless rear speakers. If you have a larger room or you love the idea of true 5.1.2 surround without running wires, those extra speakers can be added later. In my testing, the bass bar performed fine on its own, but the rear speakers turned the surround claim into a more immersive experience. The caveat is that the rear modules add a decent price tag, so it's a decision you need to make early if you're budgeting. Who should consider buying the Yamaha TrueX Bar? If you already have a decent TV and you want a single-box solution that improves dialogue, adds a touch of Atmos height, and lets you stream music without extra hardware, this bar hits the sweet spot. It's especially good for medium-sized rooms where a full-blown speaker array would look out of place, and for households that watch a lot of dialogue-heavy content, dramas, sitcoms, news, where clarity matters more than theatrical explosions. The included subwoofer also gives enough low-end punch for action movies without being obnoxious for neighbors. Who might skip it? If you're an audiophile who already owns a dedicated 5.1 or 7.1 speaker system, you'll likely find the Atmos height effect underwhelming compared to true upward-firing modules. Also, if you live in a very large open-plan space, the bar's output might feel underpowered, and you'd be better off with a larger sound system that can fill the area. Finally, if you're looking for a budget option that only needs a basic stereo upgrade, the True X sits in a higher price bracket because of the subwoofer and Atmos tech. Overall, the